There we go, look at that, Mediterranean chicken thigh stew and some crispy olive oil dumplings. Hi everyone, welcome to Backyard Chef. I'm Rick. Today we're doing a Mediterranean chicken thigh stew olive oil dumplings. Yes, I know, you probably never heard of it before. It's one of my original recipes. It's all the flavours of the Mediterranean in a stew, and then we make olive oil dumplings and we're going to bake it in the oven. Now these do rise if you want to make it in a pan, and you can have soft dumplings, but we're going to put a bit of a crispy top on. Straightforward recipe. We got a little bit of veg to do here and we'll just crack on. Come on, we got a pepper. It's Mediterranean, we want some Mediterranean flavours. Now this is a very rustic dish, so that makes it so easy for anyone to do. Nothing fancy about this one. This is about putting a good Mediterranean flavoured dish on the table. Peppers. I've already minced some garlic. I've already chopped some onions. We want some cubed carrot. Carrot takes longer to cook, so don't make big chunks of carrot. Wow, I think we should be calling this chicken Mediterranean carrot stew. There were only 2 medium carrots, and they might have been medium to large. There's quite a lot of carrot there, but not to worry, it ain't going to do us any harm. Now I've just started prepping. I've already changed my mind what we're going to do. We've got chicken thighs here, but we're actually going to dust them with a little bit of mixed herbs, a little bit of garlic powder, and we're going to dust them with a little bit of flour. Oh, and we got this one. We got this one who has grown a little bit. Look at this one. There you go. For all the people who said, where's Tony? There you are. He's always around, always talking and climbing up my leg. There you go. You're not having that. Maybe have some chicken later. So now we've got a bit of a helper over there chewing the wire on the camera. The camera might go off. There you go. We're not bothered. Okay, we want to be putting the chicken thighs on here and we're going to give them a dusting. Now it's very straightforward. I wasn't going to do this, but I think it's a good way of cooking actually. It's going to give us some good flavour, and that's what it's about in it, cooking flavour. So there's our chicken thighs. Now I'm using bone-in, skin on, so that is optional, you know, you don't have to use bone-in and skin on. I'm going to just put garlic powder on one side, I think, and then I can just over the top with a fairly clean hand, like that. We're going on there with some salt. Oh man. You want to get down now, are you? On there with some pepper. And we're going to hit that up with a little bit of dry thyme actually. Now what I find amazing with cats, they don't do anything. You know, they're very... have a sniff around, don't do anything, wander about, disappear. Come on then. How do you mean? Come on. There you go. Go play. Okay, so we've got that going on there. Now we want to dust that with a little bit of flour, and then we're going to flip it over. Now that's going to give us a little bit of a crustiness on this chicken when we actually cook it. You are a pain. You are climbing up my leg. What is it? Okay, so we got our chicken thighs there. Flip them over. Flip them over. I'm being mobbed. Get off my apron. Get off my apron, you. Right, we want to do a little bit more flour on here. You know, I don't know, I mean, this one's a stray, but, you know, I don't know how anybody can get upset with animals, you know? They're just so beautiful. Probably a little bit of salt on there. A little bit of pepper on here. I don't think we're going to have much film from this camera. This one's chewing the wires. Right, on here, come on. That will do. We're ready, we're set. Now I'm going to have to get rid of him because we're going to have to be cooking. And I don't want him getting hurt. Okay, so there's our chicken thighs. Now, if you didn't have bone in or skin on, you could still prep the thighs the same. We just want maximum flavour. That's all it's about. Okay, let's bring in a cooker. Bring in a pan. Straightforward cook. We need to put some colour on that chicken. In there, that is olive oil. And I'm going to chuck some butter in. Somebody said the other day, why do you put butter and oil in? Well, butter for flavour, oil to stop all the butter from burning. Straightforward cook, brown your chicken, bring it out. We're going to brown both sides. Now I'm not sure we're going to get all 6 of those in there, but we are going to crowd the pan so they are going in. Turn your flame down, we don't need it too high. And all we're doing is we're putting that chicken in there skin side down if you've got skin on. If you don't have, you're not. Pretty much obvious really. Well, 5 fit beautifully, but we're going to squash 6 in. So we might just have to move them around a bit as we're cooking. Right, we want some colour on there. So all we're trying to do is put a little bit of colour on there, you know. Now don't worry about turning it over a couple of times, just turn it over. We want to cook it through both sides. It doesn't have to be fully cooked at all. It's going to go in the oven 20-25 minutes. And we will probably put it back in the stew for about 10 minutes just to make sure it's cooked through. And then we'll tip all the stew and everything into a dish to go in there. You could do it all in the pan. You could do it all as a one pan. But you would have just soft dumplings. Now I love soft dumplings and so do a lot of other people. But today they're going in the oven for a crispiness. Okay, let's flip this over. And then we're going to flip it back again. Let's just bring some cooking in all the way through here. It's a straightforward one. When you've got a little bit of colour on your chicken, out it comes. Now you decide, is there too much oil from the chicken in there with all that? Your decision. I think there might just be a little bit too much. We're going to take some out. Now you can take some out, but what you don't do is you don't throw it away. Not ever. You know, it's good cooking oil. Some good flavour there. And we've got all that going on in the bottom of there, look. In there with your onions. In fact, we're not going to go onions. In there with your carrots. Carrots are going to take longer to cook. Drape up that fond in the bottom. We can have that because it's going in a stew. Oh, beautiful. In there, our onion. Cook out that rawness. Clear yourself a space. In there, your garlic. Start your garlic off with that oil. As soon as you get a tinge, mix it all in. All we're doing is cooking out the rawness of the garlic. There you go, look, got a little bit of light brown coming around there. There you go. About 30 seconds or so in there. In there, red pepper. Okay, as per usual with my cooking, we bloom the spices in there with the oil and the moisture in there with some dry thyme. Now, what works for this recipe is Italian seasoning. Just a good pinch of Italian seasoning. This is dried oregano. Obviously oregano, Mediterranean. And we will be putting in a bay leaf if I remember. Give that a little stir in there. They're going to bloom in there. That flavour's going to release. You can already smell it. It's already releasing. You know, some folks are a little bit frightened about blooming spices, you know. They tend to fill it all up with liquid and chuck the herbs and spices and boil it all. But you know, you can release all that in there and then add your fluid. Now, as per usual on this channel, I'm using tinned tomatoes, whole tomatoes. And everybody keeps asking me why. Well, you know they're whole tomatoes. Where do all the chopped tomatoes come from? Yeah, I know the tomatoes, but they're chopped. Give your tomatoes a chopping in there with a pair of scissors. Or just chuck in there and chop them in there. Give it a little stir around. Okay, we want to be going in there with some chicken stock out of a cube, homemade, out of a carton, whatever you use. And we just want to bring that up to a simmer. We're going to go in with some black olives, but not yet. Bay leaf, before I forget, in there. That's coming along quite nicely. We're going to add our chicken back in there. Now, we are not going to submerge it in any way. We're just going to do that. And if it sinks in, it sinks in. And we're just going to put that to one side whilst we make our dumplings. So you can see that's bubbling away quite nicely. I'm just going to shove it over there, look. In here is self-raising flour. This is baking powder. I'm just going to add a little pinch of salt. And you know, I'm changing it already. I'm going to add a little bit of thyme. I'm going to add a little bit of oregano. So all of a sudden, we're going to have a little herby dumplings. Mediterranean flavoured herby dumplings. Some olive oil, and we want about 3 tablespoons, somewhere around about there. And we want to bring that in. That's our fats, if you like, inside our dumpling. Okay, now I am going to get my hands in and I am going to bring that in. Optional step, but it's worth doing. You know, you're making dumplings. We don't want solid lumps of oily rubbish in there, you know. Come on. Okay, that's about got it. Right, we want to be going in with some water to bring this into a dough. Let's have a feel of that. Let's see what that feels like. Now, we don't overwork this either, like you wouldn't overwork any dumplings. Just lightly bring it all together. Get it in there. I think that's about got it, look. Fabulous. Okay, let's bring that back in here. Looking good. Olives. Now you could half these if you so want, or you can just chuck them in. Give that a little bit of a loosening. Just give it a couple of minutes for that olives to get in there. Oven on today about 190, 200. Okay, it's time to throw this together. We're just going to take those chicken thighs out because I want to nestle them back in. So they're just coming on here a minute. Grab yourself a suitable dish or tray which will fit the contents of this in. It's very straightforward. You take that and without making too much of a mess, you chuck it all in there. Now you can go fresh parsley in here if you so wish, or you can wait to the end. What we're going to do is we're going to stagger these. We've got 6, so it's going to be an unusual stagger. We got to get dumplings in there, and the dumplings are going to rise. So we're going to split this, and we're only going to do little dumplings like that. It doesn't matter if they go on the chicken, they're still going to rise, so don't worry about it. It doesn't get much more rustic than that. We just chuck it in, chuck it on the top, chuck it in the oven. Okay, and when you've had your time up, time to serve that up. Come on. Over there with a little bit of that parsley. And there you go, you've got Mediterranean stew. You've got crispy olive oil dumplings. We just need to serve that up. We want some of that stew out of there, on there. A couple of those dumplings. Oh yeah. On there, chicken. There we go, look at that, Mediterranean chicken thigh stew and some crispy olive oil dumplings. Obviously it's just veg. Oh, They're crispy on top. Little bit of stodge where they've been sat in the juice. Oh yeah. Completely different consistency to suet dumplings. Completely. They're a little bit firmer. They're not dry, but they're not like a suet dumpling. They're fine. Got a nice crispy skin on there, look. Look at that. Whew, it's a bit warm. Perfectly cooked chicken. Look, I've got a spoon, look. Mind you, we eat with a spoon in Asia. Perfectly cooked chicken. Oh yeah. Look at that. We're in. There you go, a nice simple one. If you like what we're doing, don't forget to share with your friends. Tell them how easy it is to make Mediterranean chicken thighs, olive oil dumplings. And if you do like what we're doing, big thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, ring that bell. We'll catch you in the next video.